Welcome back to the Half Thumb Homestead. Got a little Honda generator here, Honda EU2000, that won't run. So I pulled the carb off. It's been sitting for about 3 months. You can see the varnish build up in the bowl, so I can imagine what the injector looks like. And working on Honda generators is not how I lost my thumb. Yeah, if you look closely, you can see all the buildup inside that injector hole there. Pretty black in there, so hopefully I can use a wire brush, clean it up. If that works, I'll go through the whole process of taking it apart and cleaning it. So that's the injector piece. Super nasty. So that's how the injector comes out. This is the screw that holds it in here. So it just threads in and holds this guy, and these are the holes that you got to get clean. So I'm going to play with that. So I got it running finally, but this is what it does when it's on eco. It surges. Can't find a happy place. So we're going to take the carb apart, clean it with a fine-tooth comb. 8mm. There's 3 bolts. I already took part of it apart. This is the part that holds on the filter housing here. And then 2 of these nuts that hold on the carburetor. Now, the carburetor is attached through here to this connector. So you have to go inside and push down on the tab on this big old zip tie here, this plastic tie, to get it to release. Kind of push that a little bit. I'm just going to take the carb and stick it inside my little bucket here and try and clean it rather than removing it from the whole system. I did buy an additional one. If this doesn't fix it, then I'll have to replace it. But I'm hoping that by doing all this cleaning, it will fix the problem. So we're going to make sure that your cap is off so you don't have venting air going into your tank, and make sure that this is off. If this is off and this works properly, it will cut the fuel off to the carb. You have a little bit of fuel come out, but it won't be too much. Got my little magnetic tray here from Harbor Freight. Pretty much get them anywhere. They are awesome. And if I didn't mention it before, working on my Honda generator is not how I lost my thumb. So this piece will pop loose here. We'll just take it and we'll set it out of the way. Now, one thing I do want to talk about is, real quick, the filters inside these. If you don't change these out once every couple years, they get really brittle. I had one of these. It was a Honda 2000. This is 2000, same model. It ended up sucking the foam into the intake and just messing the whole thing up. I ended up having to trash it. It seized up on me, and I didn't change it probably ever. So make sure that when you do your maintenance, routine maintenance, you do change out these. They're pretty important. I did buy a section here from Part Zen. It comes with both the filters and the spark plug. This is your foam filter that goes inside here. Be nice if they folded it the other way. Like so. This is the one I went to take out. When I grabbed a hold and pulled on it, it just came to pieces. So this is your air oil separator. It separates obviously the oil, and then the oil drains out the bottom down there. This is your kind of like a crankcase vent. So it takes out the crankcase air, puts it right back into the carb, which can clog the carb up as well. And then your standard spark plug. So we'll get to that. We're going to try and run it with a spark plug that's in it now to see if that, after we clean the carb, to see if that can fix it. And if not, then we'll try the spark plug. And if that doesn't fix it, then we will change out the carburetor. Now, I also bought a inexpensive carburetor for about 35 bucks on Amazon. It comes with the filters, all the seals, a fuel filter, which I probably won't use, and the carb complete. It's probably just as cheap and more time friendly just to replace the entire thing and not worry about cleaning it. But I am a cheapskate, so I'd like to save my 35 bucks if I can. I have two of these with the same problem, so if I can figure out what's going on here with this one, then I can make it happen. You also have your fuel line coming from your shutoff valve down here. So we're going to take that sucker and we're going to take it off. And this is probably where we're going to get a little bit of fuel leak. You can drain the fuel out the petcock here. That's what it's designed for. So we'll put it in our bucket here. Break it loose. See the fuel coming down here. And this is also a good way to tell if you have shut the fuel off properly. That's about a bowl's worth right there. A little bowl here. That has I think a 10 millimeter on the bottom. Once the fuel's drained out, we can pop this guy loose. If you can't move that very well, take a pair of needle nose. If it's been a long time, grab a hold of the rubber. Just kind of twist a little bit. Break it free. Then it should pop off. And you might get a little bit of drainage from that. And we'll take a towel. Just kind of stuff it over on that to keep it so it doesn't leak all over the counter. The bench here. Remove the carb. And again, we're not taking out that connector, so it's not going to be very easy to clean this. Once we get it out, we'll tighten up our petcock valve here, our drain valve. You don't have to smoke it down, but it's got to be tight. Take off the bowl. I believe that's a 12 millimeter. Make that a 10. 10 millimeter. That 10 millimeter has a small little seal on it. Little piece of copper there, I think, or whatever. Your bowl, which you can see in that bowl, it's pretty dirty. Your float is held on with just a pin. This little pin goes through that float and it just sits there and bounces. So you pull your pin out, set it aside, pick your float up. That's your needle seat right there. That goes inside here and stops the fuel from flowing in when it fills up. You get an O-ring on top right here. So we're going to take out the jet, which is internal. Need this guy. Pay attention to how this comes out. That's your jet inside the carb. That's what we're going to be focused cleaning on. Obviously that just goes in. It also has a hole in the bottom of it here that you'll need to clean out to allow fuel to go into your jet. The other one you have to take out is this plastic one right here. Now you want to be careful taking this one out because you have to count how many turns that is out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're just going to thread it all the way in. So we're going to go 1.5. It's 1.5 turns. That way we know when we put it all the way in and we back it back out, we can go 1.5 turns. It's just a plastic screw, so you got to be careful not to ruin it. It's made of plastic. Set that in our magnetic container. And then we'll use our flat tip screwdriver. And we'll pry up on this little needle valve here, this piece. Once we can get enough room to get our needle nose underneath there, we're going to pull it up. Now, this doesn't matter which direction it goes. This flat piece against the back side or the other side doesn't make a difference, but this guy will get clogged too. So the plastic valve, when it comes out, it doesn't matter which one of these flat surfaces goes against the back side of the carb. So it came out of this little area right here, and you see that. See that little flat piece right there? That's where one of these sides goes. But if you look at the design, the hole goes this way, which is the direction of the roundies, the round area, half moons. So it makes no difference if it's this way or that way, it's the same. And I don't know what it does. It's probably your idle screw or something. So now we're going to take our carb cleaner, or brake cleaner in this case, and we're going to clean it. Just hose it off. Let it sit for a little bit. Make sure you're using the proper gloves, because if you don't, you'll see it'll eat through these here in just a few minutes. I'm going to use an aluminum Weller brush here. Get these at Home Depot, Amazon. Our goal is to get all that debris off the inside there. That's my goal anyways. You can bend these however you want. I need them to go that way. So what we're cleaning off is all that varnish buildup from this terrible fuel they make us put into our vehicles. So you can kind of see what's also in your car or truck that you drive every day with this ethanol garbage. Really is not good for the intakes, injectors, especially carbureted vehicles. So I'm pretty happy with the way that looks now. I mean, you can see that most of the varnish is off. You can also use a toothbrush for this. It's just that you gotta be able to get the toothbrush bristles to point forward in order to get in there. So I have another type of tool here that you can get at, I don't even know where I got this, but you can also, kind of like a forward toothbrush here, get in there and scrub. And make sure you rinse it off. All right, that's clean now, so we're going to set that aside on a towel. This is your fuel intake here, so we'll take our little nozzle and we'll go inside the fuel intake here. Don't squirt yourself in the eyeball. We're looking for it to squirt out here, which it does, and we'll go the opposite direction as well. We'll take and get a piece of wire, go in there and clean it real good. We'll use some real small wire to get inside these holes. This is really tiny, so we just want to make sure that everything is clean. I don't know if one of these holes is clogged up, it'll cause difference, but I do know that I've cleaned this off, put it back in, and it runs exactly the same. So we're going to try and find a piece of wire. Now this tool probably has the wire that we can use, so we'll bend a piece out. Grab some cutters, actually two of them there, and we'll cut them off. So I'm going to take that little wire, once I get my glove on my nub here. We're going to stick that wire in each one of these little holes, one at a time. Go through. You can see, I don't know if you can see that, probably not. A little bit of debris on the end of that. Build up. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put back in this plastic guy here. All I did was hose that out a little bit. Obviously there's no fuel coming out the top here, but squirt everywhere, so the only part that has fuel into it is the bottom here. We'll take our little piece of metal wire and we'll go in there and we'll make sure that that guy's clean also. Then we're going to put this back in. Remember, it doesn't matter which side goes backwards, which flat piece goes back, one of them has to go back towards the back. And it's just, you just push it in. That's it. Take our plastic idle screw, make sure it goes on top of that spring right there, which shouldn't have moved, hopefully. We're going to go all the way in with it. Don't force it. If you try to force it, you're cross-threading it. See, it just goes on top and holds that guy down. I'm going to go all the way in with it. Then we're going to back it out a turn and a half. Half a turn. 1, 1.5. Excellent. We're going to take our aluminum brush, we're going to clean off this. See all that dust coming off there? That's all the varnish garbage. Careful not to break these tangs off. Next, we'll put our needle seat back, our needle valve back in. Remember which way this goes. Make sure you put that in correctly. This is the bottom. And that's your jet. So it goes in this way. Should just drop right in there. And then we take our little seat guy here. Goes in like so, and we thread it in. Don't have to be super tight, it's got to be snug so it doesn't fall back out. We take our float, We'll set our float so the needle seat goes inside that hole. And then we'll take our pin and just slide our pin in the hole here. This is our bowl, nice and clean. Now remember, when we put this in, it has to go in a certain way, right? So this is your choke. This is facing out. You want to make sure you have access to your drain plug for your bowl here. So it's going to go on like this so you can get to the screw when it's installed. Then we take our 10mm. Put our seal on. Snug it up. You buy a gasket kit for this. You'll put a new gasket back here. Take this gasket that goes up front after you install it, like so. So we'll set the carb on here now. Feed it through. Put on our gasket. Plug in our fuel line. That. Take this guy, we'll stick him on here. The crankcase vent line going in. Get a little fuel in there. Start all your two nuts on the carb. Take your 8mm bolt, start in your housing here. I generally tighten carb 8mm first, because that way the carb's in its happy place. You have two little eyelets down here that the drain hoses go in. This one goes in that one. Their pin's about to get in, and this one goes in that one. That way the fuel drains out the bottom here. Fuel and oil drains out the bottom. So all three of our bolts are tight. I'm going to run it without the filters on it to make sure it's going to idle correctly, because if it's not, we got to take it back apart and change carb out. So let's give it a shot and find out. A lot better than it used to be. I'm pretty happy with that. So I cleaned it before without running a wire through. So I cleaned it before without running a wire through all those little needle holes and cleaning it really and This time I took my time. I used the piece of wire going through all those little holes, and it made a big difference. Because before, if you don't recall, you can look at the beginning of the video, it was just a really bad. So that's how you clean the carb on a 22 or 2000 2200. And if, like I said, you don't want to clean it, you can change the carb out. So there you have it, man. All that's left is to put the filters on, put the cover plate back on. Thanks for watching. Any comments down below on how dumb I did, or if it helps you out, any questions, let me know. Half thumb out.